In the shadows of Japan's bustling cities, a predator lurked. Her name was Miyuki Wayta, a woman whose charm and cunning masked a deadly secret. To the men who fell under her spell, she was a dream come true, a loving partner, a devoted mother, and the perfect companion. But behind that sweet smile lay a heart of ice and a mind capable of unspeakable cruelty. This is the chilling story of Miyuki Wayta, one of Japan's most notorious female serial killers. Miyuki Wayta's crimes shocked Japan to its core. She was a master manipulator, using her charm and wit to seduce men, drain them of their wealth, and then leave them dead under mysterious circumstances. But how did a seemingly ordinary woman become one of the most feared killers in Japanese history? To understand Miyuki, we must go back to the beginning. Miyuki Wayta was born into a relatively well-off family, but from a young age, she displayed a disturbing fascination with chaos. As a child, she would break into her neighbors' homes, not just to steal, but to destroy. It was as if she enjoyed the act of ruining things, leaving behind a trail of devastation. This early behavior was a sign of things to come. As an adult, Miyuki found her calling in the world of snack bars, a type of establishment in Japan where men go to drink and socialize. It was here that Miyuki honed her skills as a seductress. She had a way of making men feel special, needed, and desired, but her intentions were far from innocent. Miyuki wasn't looking for love, she was looking for victims. Miyuki's modus operandi was simple: seduce, manipulate, and destroy. She would lure men into relationships, often targeting those who were lonely or vulnerable. Once she had them under her spell, she would drain them of their money, using lies and deceit to keep them hooked. But when the money ran out, so did Miyuki's patience. And that's when things took a deadly turn. One by one, the men in Miyuki's life began to die under suspicious circumstances. Some were found drowned, others poisoned, and a few simply vanished. The police were slow to connect the dots, but as the body count grew, it became clear that Miyuki Wayta was not just a manipulator, she was a killer. On May 13, 2004, a train on the JR Nara line slammed into a cardboard box left on the tracks. Inside was the body of a 42-year-old reporter. He had been battered and left for dead. A note found in the box read, "I was supposed to protect her, but I was doing the opposite. I was happy to meet a woman like Miyuki. When I met Miyuki, I learned what true love was." The police initially dismissed it as a suicide, but the circumstances were suspicious. Why would a man climb into a box and wait for a train to kill him? Miyuki was never officially charged with this murder, but many believe she drugged him, placed him in the box, and left him to die. Another victim was a man who went diving for shells with Miyuki. He drowned in just 3 inches of water, a bizarre and unlikely death for anyone. His family found it suspicious, but the police ruled it an accident. Miyuki, however, was the last person seen with him. Coincidence, or something far more sinister? One of Miyuki's most shocking victims was a police officer. He was found in a forest, his body showing signs of assault. His right eye was sunken in, and his fingers were broken. The police ruled it a suicide, but the evidence suggested otherwise. This man had been seduced by Miyuki, and like so many others, he paid the ultimate price. One of Miyuki's most tragic victims was a garbage collector. He was a hard-working man, earning just $20,000 a year, and gave Miyuki over $30,000, everything he had. He went into debt for her, lost his job, and eventually died in his apartment. The cause of death was never determined, but those who knew him believed Miyuki had drained him of his money, his will to live, and finally, his life. One of Miyuki's most baffling victims was found on a beach with 4 different types of sleeping pills in his system. He had drowned in just a few inches of water, a death that defied logic. The police ruled it a suicide, but the presence of multiple drugs suggested foul play. Miyuki was the last person seen with him, and many believe she orchestrated his death to cover her tracks. In 2009, Miyuki was finally arrested, not for murder, but for fraud. However, as the police dug deeper, they uncovered a web of lies, deceit, and death. Miyuki was linked to at least 6 murders, though she was only convicted of 2. She was sentenced to death. But even behind bars, Miyuki's story was far from over. In prison, Miyuki became something of a celebrity. She started a blog, wrote columns for a local newspaper, and even tried to publish an autobiography. She was obsessed with controlling her narrative, desperate to convince the world that she was not the monster they believed her to be. But no matter how hard she tried, Miyuki couldn't escape the truth. She was a killer, and her crimes would haunt her until the very end. In January 2023, Miyuki Wayta's story came to a sudden and bizarre end. While eating her prison meal, she choked to death on a plate of yakisoba. Some say it was an accident, while others believe it was karma finally catching up to her. But one thing is certain: Miyuki Wayta's legacy as one of Japan's most notorious serial killers will live on. Miyuki Wayta's life was a twisted tale of manipulation, greed, and murder. She was a woman who used her charm to destroy lives, leaving behind a trail of death and devastation. But in the end, even she couldn't escape the consequences of her actions. This is the story of Miyuki Wayta, a killer, a seductress, and a cautionary tale of what happens when darkness takes hold of the human heart.